Hey guys, how's it going? Glad you stopped by as always. Today we're gonna do some baking. And if you caught yesterday's video and watched till the end, you know we're gonna do a strawberry cake. But I could not find the cake I was looking for. Now, I really like mayo-based cakes. They are kind of my go-to for a lot of my cakes. You cannot taste the mayo in a cake. You just can't. And what it does is, because of its fat and oil content, it can replace the butter in most cases. We have together made a chocolate mayo cake. I do believe I have a video for a vanilla mayo cake. And these cakes are just crazy. They're crazy good, full of flavor, and they stay moist for days. And even if you stick it in the fridge, like if you have a cream cheese icing, which is what we're going to put on this one today, they still stay moist. Where with butter, traditionally you put them in the fridge, they get stiff, they get hard. Then you got to let them sit out, warm up, and in order to be soft again. With mayo, you don't have to do that. It's very similar to using oil in a cake, vegetable oil. But I really like the richness that mayo gives. Well, I want to do a strawberry cake because oddly enough, I've never made one. And I want it to be a mayo-based cake, and I could not find a recipe. And so we're going to give it a whirl today. We're going to see how it turns out. This is either going to be not good at all, or it could be amazing. We won't know, right? Because nobody's ever done this before. So what I'm going to do is we're going to take a traditional strawberry cake recipe, and we're going to swap out the butter for the mayo and see what happens. So that being said, if you're new, this is your first video, welcome. I hope you get something out of this video. I hope we're a great success for you, and you take time to check out some of my other videos. Returning new subscriber, thank you and welcome back. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and share. Notification bell, all that good stuff. All that helps keep our neighborhood relevant and out in the algorithm, so our neighborhood can grow, right? I mean, we're on our way to being a village. Comments are always welcome. I answered 99.95826% of all of them, and the only way I miss one is if for some reason I can't find it on any of the different places that comments pop up on my phone or on my laptop. All I ever ask is you be nice. I think before you type. You don't have to agree with me or anybody in the comments. Just think before you type. Be polite about it. But like I said, I do respond. If you take the time to comment, I will take time to respond. I think that is the polite and proper thing to do. I will give you all your measurements in cups, tablespoons, teaspoons. I also give you all your measurements in grams and milliliters. That way, everybody, no matter where you live, can play along. All right, so let's get on down here to the counter, and we're gonna get started with this strawberry cake. Hold on for me just 1 second. All right, so we are down here at the counter, and the first thing we need to do is make our strawberry puree and reduce it. Okay, so it's really easy to make. All we're going to do is use a food processor, or if you have a blender, you can use one of those. I have both. My blender is huge and it's a pain in the butt to clean, so we're just going to use food processor. And in the food processor, all we're going to put is, I've got 1 pound, that's pre-cut up weight, 1 pound of strawberries. If you go to the store, you've got the big 2 pound containers, you got the small 1 pound container, get the small container, a couple bucks. Wash them, let them dry, and cut them up. Just shuck them, take tops off of them, cut them up, so we put them in the blender. You can also use frozen. There's no rule that says you can't. If you use frozen, let them thaw first completely. That way you don't have all that water build up, because remember, we're going to reduce it on the stovetop. So the less moisture you have, the less reduction time you have. So let's go ahead and get these into the food processor or your blender, either one, and we are going to turn these into a puree. We're going to blend them smooth. This is our very first step. We got our strawberries pureed, which means that they are no longer a strawberry. They are just kind of like a liquid with really small chunks of strawberry in it. Now let's say you don't want to take the time to make a puree. You don't have to. You can use a strawberry jam instead. That is just as acceptable. It just changes the sugar amount you're going to put in your cake, and I'll let you know about that when we get to that portion. So we just want to double check, make sure there's no big chunks of strawberry in there, and there's not, which is good. So let's go ahead and get this blender out of the way, or blender, food processor out of the way. Get our blade out of there. Be careful when you play with your food processor. Yeah, notice I'm using a spatula. I'm not just sticking fingers down in there. Although I have been known to stick fingers down there, but you can get cut. I mean, this mixer, this processor is better half of 7-8 years old, and those blades are still just as sharp now as they were the day they came home. So, next thing I've got a small sauce pot right here, or saucepan right here. We're going to go ahead and get our puree in there. Okay, so we got our puree in the pot. So now all we're going to do is literally cook this down till it's about half of what it is now. You should end up with about a cup worth of puree, or reduced puree, and it's going to take about 15-20 minutes to get it down that far, because you don't want to put it on really high heat and burn it. You know, and you want to stir it on occasion, that way it helps get that moisture out of there. If you're using frozen strawberries, it's going to take about 35 minutes to get it down to where you need it to be. So when I come back, we'll take a look at it, and then we can move on to making our cake. Alright, so we have reduced down to, I don't know if we, well, I don't know if you can really see that, but that is less than a cup. Not by much. And if you're wondering how I know that without looking, I have a 1 cup measuring cup right here. And what I did was, when I thought it was close, was I would just pour it in there and see, you know, and I'm just a hair under a cup, which is what we wanted. And so now I'm going to take it, and I'm actually going to put it in this glass bowl right here. And the reason why I'm doing that is that way it'll cool quicker. Because we're going to use it in the cake, and we don't want to have to sit here and wait for it to, you know, cool, take forever to cool down. And we're not going to use it for very long, or it doesn't have to be room temperature, but it has to be, you know, cool at any rate. We don't want to cook the eggs or anything like egg whites or anything like that. That would be a hot mess. And we don't really want to stick it in the fridge with the lid, because you get all that moisture trapped in there. So we just put it in and this is good to do with anything that you get hot and you want it to cool down relatively quick. The thinner the surface plane, the quicker it cools. So we've got that cooling down, and while that's cooling down, we'll go ahead and start on our dry ingredients. Our dry ingredients are pretty straightforward. We have 2 3/4 cup, 330 grams of all-purpose flour right here in this bowl. And that's just regular plain old flour. To this, we are going to add 1 teaspoon, 4 grams of kosher salt. You know, now if you use kosher salt, you can use table salt if you want. I just prefer kosher salt. It doesn't have a heavy salt taste, but it does bring out all the flavors. And salt is important in baking. It helps counterbalance the sweetness. And then we are going to add 2.5 teaspoons, 10 grams of baking powder. And we are going to follow that up with a 1/4 teaspoon, 1 gram of baking soda. And then as soon as I go get a whisk, we will whisk this together. Okay, got a whisk. So we're going to go ahead, we'll whisk this together real quick, just like such. Yep, like that. Alright, and then we can take this and we'll set this aside. Let me get this straightened up real quick and get the mixer out, and we can move on to our wet ingredients and get this all together. Hold on for me just one moment. Okay, we got our mixer out, wet ingredients out. Next thing we need to do before I forget is go ahead and start our oven. We're just gonna 350 degrees. We want to get that up and moving while we're putting the cake together. So in our stand mixer, or you can use a hand mixer for that matter, we're gonna go ahead and start off by putting 4 large egg whites in, and they are at room temperature, and it's going to be right around 135 grams. It'll really vary on the eggs. I always find it amazing though, a whole egg large, no matter what store you buy it at, it's 50 grams. But we're just using the whites, so that's about 25 to 30 grams per egg white depending on the yolk. But 4 large egg whites in the bowl. And to that, I'm going to add 2 cups, 400 grams of sugar. And last but not least, 2 teaspoons of vanilla we're going to add to this. And then we're going to mix this until it becomes light and fluffy. Alright, we are light and fluffy, almost like a soft peak. But we look like eggs and egg whites, like we're making royal icing. So the next thing we're going to do is I've got 1 cup, 220 grams of just regular old mayonnaise. I use Duke's mayonnaise. I mean, you can use mayonnaise of your choice. Hellmann's, I think, was the original mayonnaise cake, mayo cakes. But I really, really, really like the flavor of Duke's. And I would have never even heard of them, and no, I'm not sponsored by them or anything like that. I would have never even heard of them, but I actually saw a commercial a long while back about a lady who made her chocolate cake with Duke's mayo, which was the first time I'd ever heard of making a chocolate cake with mayo. So I was like, oh, I've got to try this, and I have been hooked since. So we got that in there, and then we're just going to stir this to combine. All right, we have gotten that nice and combined, so now we just need to real quick give it a good scrape down. You know, as always, you know, doesn't matter what you're making in a mixer or even with a hand mixer, you know, because those have dead spots too where the beaters won't get. You know, you're taking something, unless you have beaters that are perfectly molded to the bowl you're using, you're gonna have dead spots. So we're gonna go ahead and get this mixed real quick. Wow, this looks amazing. I think we're gonna be okay. Like I said at the beginning, there is no recipe that I found for a strawberry cake with mayo, and I really wanted to give this a shot. Lately I've been all about trying new things and pushing myself. You know, kind of like the Twix bar cake. Yeah, that really was a labor of love, so to speak. Yeah, this one, what will happen? That's what we're trying to find out. Alright, so we've got that mixed. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to start to put all our stuff together. So we've got our dry, right here. We're going to put 1/3 of that in, just like such. And we're going to give that a mix. We just want to get it incorporated. Okay, we got that incorporated. Now I've got 1/2 cup, 125 milliliters of whole milk. I'm going to put half of that in there. And while that's mixing up, we are going to take our strawberry puree. I've got a 1/2 cup measuring cup right here. And we're just going to put half of that in here right quick. Now we're going to take our puree and we're just going to add about 1/4 cup of this 1/2 cup of puree in here. Now you may notice, I mean, and I'm sure you have, because you guys catch everything, yeah, which is good. It means you're paying attention. That this strawberry puree looks really dark. So, funny story happened is let me go ahead and get this another 1/3. We're just gonna wash, rinse, repeat this. I went downstairs to grab some red food coloring because strawberries, when you cook them, have a tendency to turn gray, like a grayish red. And I thought I grabbed red. I grabbed burgundy. So it ended up turning into burgundy. Alright, so then now that once this is combined, rest of the milk, rest of the puree, and then the last of the dry ingredients, you always want to end on dry. Okay, so we got our batter is complete. Look at that. Is that not the most beautiful? Using burgundy actually made it look really good. And not that I taste tested that on the other one spatula, but if I would have, I would tell you it tastes amazing. So while the puree was reducing, I went ahead and I buttered and floured my pans, these two 9-inch pans, and I put parchment paper down in the bottom of them. That way that nothing sticks, right? We're ensuring that. So the next thing we're gonna do, I'm gonna use a scale. This is, I haven't preached scales in a while, and I know that. But, excuse me, scales are important, and especially with baking, and they're not expensive. You can buy a scale easily for like 20 bucks. And while I was mixing, the oven went off. I've heard it cycle through a couple times, so I know we're good and warm. But what I'm gonna do is, I'm going to divide this evenly. Now, if you don't have a scale per se, I would highly recommend you look into one, but you can just eyeball your batter. So we're going to go ahead and get our batter in there. I need to turn this on grams and not ounces and pounds. And if I had to guess, I'm going to say it's probably right around 600 grams each, but we will find out. Okay, so we got them in there, and I was close. 640 grams each. Now, don't ever take that as verbatim. I have yet to have any two cakes of the same type come out at the same gram weight per pan every time. They're always off a little bit. Why? I don't know, but they are. So, let me go ahead and get these in the oven right quick, and then we can talk about how long to bake them for. Hold on for me 1 second. Okay, so we got them in the oven. The original recipe without the mayo and butter instead called for 30 minutes. I'm gonna say with this go around 25 to 30 minutes. And the things we're gonna look for, because the visuals shouldn't change just because we swapped out the mayo for the butter. We should be able to toothpick test it. It should come out clean, right? With just a little bit of crumb on it, no batter, just a little bit of crumb. And we should be able to touch the top, and it should be springy, and it should pull away from the edge, from the sides a little bit as it cooks down. So those are the three things I look for, and when I come back, well, I'll have them sitting on the rack, and we can look for those three things together. All right, I'll see you here in a second. Okay, so we got them out of the oven, and we can check them. Now we're going to leave these in the pan for about 20 minutes, and these did end up taking about 35-40 minutes. Part of that was because I kept opening the door to check them. But we're going to take our toothpick, and as you can see, I've already tested them twice before, and when I pull it out, see how there's nothing on there? Yeah, that's a good sign. So, and you can also see how it's pulled away from the edge, right? Just like they said it would. And the other one was the same way. Toothpick came out clean. If I insert it, pulled it out, it's clean. It has pulled away from the edge, and when I touch the tops, it's springy. I can tell it's done. That's the important things right there. So now what we have to do is back this camera up and bring it up a little bit so I can see you. So what we're going to do now is we're just going to go ahead and let these cool in the pans for 20 minutes. And then when that 20 minutes is up, I'll take them out and take the parchment paper off the bottom of them and just set them right back on this rack, and we're going to let them cool down to room temperature. So when I come back, we can go ahead and make the strawberry cream cheese icing for this. So don't throw away that little bit of puree you have left, because that's going to go into the icing. All right, I'll see you here in just 1 second. All right, so our cakes have cooled. Right here we are. And if I do say so myself, and I do say so myself, they look quite beautiful. So far, our experiment with mayo is seems to be going swimmingly. They look good. They came out even. They baked. That's a plus. The kitchen smelled fantastic. So really the only thing left to do is see how they taste. Which I have this goofy feeling if they taste anything like the batter did, it's going to be amazing. So anyhow, enough lollygagging. Let's go ahead and start making some icing. It's just a standard cream cheese icing. So in our stand mixer, or if you have a hand mixer in a bowl, I have 8 ounces, 1 block, 227 grams of softened cream cheese. So we're not been sitting out for hours, but about 45 minutes, along with 1 cup, 227 grams of butter, unsalted. And it's softened, right? And your cream cheese, pretty much, I guess you could use a low-fat cream cheese, but I've never seen a recipe that actually just used low-fat cream cheese. Remember, baking for the most part isn't meant to be healthy. Even some of the healthy baked goods that they make aren't really healthy because of the stuff they have to put in them to make it sugar free or gluten free, or it's kind of like plant-based meats. They're not healthy for you. It's a life choice and a lifestyle choice and things like that. But anyhow, we're going to take our cream cheese and our butter, and we're going to go ahead and beat these together and until they're creamy. So we have gotten our cream cheese and butter combined and creamy and looking smooth. Not quite light and fluffy like we would cake batter. Although I will say with this cake batter, that was a weird light and fluffy. So now we just gotta get all the butter and cream cheese scraped off the sides. Okay, so we got scraped down. Make sure everything's combined, even though it's just 2 ingredients. Now we gotta add, sorry about that, 1 teaspoon, 4 grams of vanilla, and 1/4 teaspoon of kosher salt. And again, if you don't have kosher salt, that's fine. You could use table salt, hands down. Or if you don't have unsalted butter, you can use salted butter. Just omit the salt from the recipe. So now we're gonna just mix this up till those are just combined in with the butter and the cream cheese. Alright, got that combined in with the cream cheese. I somehow managed to get icing on my fingers. So now we will just knock this down. So what we're going to do next is we've only got 2 more ingredients to put in here, and they're pretty straightforward. We want to go ahead and start putting our powdered sugar in. Now this takes just a metric ton of powdered sugar. I mean literally almost 2 full pounds of powdered sugar. In this bowl right here, I'm starting with 720 grams, or 6 cups. Yeah, 6 cups of powdered sugar, confectioner's sugar, the unhealthy sugar. So what I want to do with that, and I could even need an additional cup, so it's like 6 to 7 cups, depending on how thick this is going to be, and all that will be based on what was left of our puree that we saved, right? So what I'm going to do is I am going to first get my cover. I'm getting used to using this. If you don't have one, obviously it's okay, but I want to turn this on low speed or stir if you're using a KitchenAid. I don't know if any of the other mixers have that or not. And I'm just going to put a cup at a time in here slowly, just like such, and in between each one I am going to put a teaspoon of the puree. Got that in there, and then I'm gonna use my super accurate measuring tool, a plastic spoon, and do my teaspoon of puree. And then I'm just gonna repeat that until I've used up my powdered sugar, and I will scrape the bowl down about every 2 cups. So we just got our last bit of powdered sugar and puree in there. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to kick this up to about medium high, and I'm going to let this run for a minute or so to get that, to actually get some air incorporated into it and make it light and fluffy. All right, so we got our icing done. Right there we are, looking good, right? Nice and pink. Now, one thing I did not mention, and only because it's nice and pink in my mind, is if you want, with your cake and with the frosting, if you want to add some pink food coloring to it, but use the gel, don't use just liquid, unless that's all you have. The problem with the liquid food coloring is it waters things down. The gel does not. You could even take that a step further, and they make powders, food coloring powders, so you can add that, don't change the consistency at all, which is pretty effing awesome. So, that's an option for you. I just didn't, because I thought the cake was pink enough, the batter is pink, or the icing's pink enough for mine. And I think part of that's because I added that burgundy food coloring in my strawberries instead of red, but that's all right. So moving on, we're gonna ice. So we got our first layer of cake right here, and we're just gonna take some of our icing, about a cup or so's worth of icing, and we will stick that on there. And as always, I did not grab my offset spatula, so hold on for me 1 second. All right, sorry about that. I am horrible about remembering to grab stuff, especially as of late. It's probably stress or something. Who knows? I don't feel stressed though. So anyhow, offset spatula. I've actually got a few spatulas over here, so that way we can smooth out and finish and give it a nice look if we want, or do something whimsical, which I think is what we're gonna do. But anyhow, we're gonna take our icing and we're just gonna put this around the top like said. All right, we got our center covered there. Now we just take our second layer, and let's say yours, you may have one that's a little more side that's even than the other. It's okay to flip that bad boy upside down. All right, we'll just flip it upside down and put it on the top. That way, you got a nice flat surface, right? Because that was sitting on the bottom of the pan. And then we'll just make sure that we're nice and even, like such. That looks like the world's most unhealthy snack cake sandwich thing with a ton of icing in it. Looks good though. And then we will simply take our second layer, now that we got our second layer on there, and we're gonna go ahead and get some more icing on here, like such. And what we'll do is we'll just take this and send it over the edge, just like that. Yeah, like I used to send my mom, over the edge of sanity. And we'll just go ahead and get this nice and iced on the sides and around the top. Okay, we got our icing on there, right? I mean, nothing fancy. I didn't smooth anything out. So I'm just gonna take my spatula and I'm just gonna simply just kind of, do some like waves in it, so to speak. And all I'm gonna do is just flip my knife up on its side, like such. So our cake is complete. There we are, right there. I think that looks just crazy good, right? So now I am going to, since I've really worked this icing and it's warm, I can feel it, and it's, when I was playing around with it, it stays loose. So I'm gonna put this in the fridge for about a half hour, And when I come back, we'll cut us a piece and see how it turns out. All right, so excited. I'll see you here in a second. All right, so we just pulled the cake out of the fridge. It sat there for about a half hour, and I'm here to tell you, I think that is just, it looks fun, it looks whimsical. Things you could do with this, I'm not going to decorate it today, but you could just easily throw a couple, 2-3 whole strawberries in the middle, do some a little bit of whipped cream dollops around the top. That would be fun. You know, just all kinds of stuff. Yeah, there's just, the possibilities are kind of endless with this. But we're just going to do a plain cake today, right? Because we just wanted to see how this, the mayo was going to work in this. So I already tell you, wow, that is moist. I can feel it. Yeah. And look at that. Is that not gorgeous? Just gorgeous, I think. Yeah, and I mean, and the crumb looks great, and even though it's been in the fridge, it's still really moist and soft, which is what we were looking for with that mayo, you know, versus the butter. If we would have had the butter, there's our inside. If we would have used the butter, that would have been just hard. We wouldn't have been able to push in with bounce back. Sorry about that. I really had to think about that for a second. All right, so now we got. All right, so let's give this bad boy. I'm so excited. Yeah, you have no idea. I mean, really, I'm almost speechless because I'm, both a little afraid and scared, nervous. Like I said, I couldn't find a single cake recipe with mayo in it that involves strawberries. Vanilla, yes, which I have one of those already. Chocolate, yes, which I have one of those already, but not strawberry. So this could lead to whole new things if this tastes as good as it looks. Hold on, let's try it. That is so moist. And the strawberry flavor is just in your face good. Holy cannoli. This will definitely be something that I have to take to work, or somebody in this house, probably me, is going to weigh like 800 pounds. That. It's so moist, so tender. It has so much flavor in it. Holy cow. And nothing about that cake was hard to make. And the only thing that was out of the normal time consuming in any way, shape, or form was making the strawberry concentrate, or the reduction. But like I said, you can use strawberry jam on that. If you do use strawberry jam versus the reduced strawberry puree, use 1/3 of a cup less sugar. Okay, that's important. So you'll back off 66 grams, or 1/3 of a cup of the granulated sugar in the cake mix, to supplement the sugar that is in the strawberry jam. And that's it. That's the only variable to using jam versus making your own puree, and you should be on like Flynn. That being said, give this a try. Man, I'm here to tell you, that is good and that's addictive. You know, and with it being strawberry season, strawberries are, granted it's the beginning of strawberry season, but they're everywhere. And most generally they go on sale, when fruit's in season, whatever the fruit is, they go on sale. And they're cheaper, and that would be a time to stock up, even if you bought frozen strawberries. But like I said, if you use frozen, make sure you let them thaw completely, get that moisture out of there, so you're not 8 hours trying to get it to reduce down. If you do give this a try, let me know. You can leave me a comment down below. Hop over on Facebook or Instagram. There'll be pictures of this up here later on this afternoon. if they're not already. As when I do get pictures up, I do like to try to put them up, ahead of time, and that way people know it's coming and they can share the video in advance, or let people know that the video is coming. And that way, once again, grow our neighborhood. So yeah, for sure, give this a try. Or if you have a mayo cake recipe that you would like to tell us about, let us know. Facebook, Instagram, here in the comments. I would be curious. I absolutely think mayo is way better in almost anything that, cake wise, cupcake wise. It's way better than butter. It does so much better, and it's not any unhealthier for you at any rate. So I'm still shooting for this Saturday, having a video out for canning, because like I said, I've got to get chili beans done. Why not bring you along for the ride? We go through a fair amount of chili beans, because we put it in a lot of stuff, not just chili. So I'm still shooting for that on Saturday, but until Saturday, I love you. I love you very much. I mean that from the bottom of my heart. Tell somebody else that you love them and love them very much. They may need to hear it. It's going to make their day a whole lot better. And it's going to make you feel good to tell them that. You're both going to smile. And if you make them this strawberry cake with the strawberry cream cheese icing, I guarantee you're going to put a smile on their face. They're going to know that you love them. And it's going to lead to possibly, a good cup of coffee to go with it. And some conversation. Heck, you can, once again, invite that guy walking his dog down the street. Hand a piece to the mailman to take with him as he's delivering. He's going to smile. He'll make sure your mail doesn't get wet in the rain. Neighbors, family, somebody who needs to smile. This cake will definitely do it. So, until Saturday, I love you. And I'll see you then. All right? See you later. Bye-bye.